and welcome back to The Give and Go. I'm your coach, Reynoso, with my boy
Soltero. What's up, y'all?
Folks, we are back after being out on vacation for a while. I went to the beautiful streets and cities of Portugal while you were in Canada, I believe.
Canada,
correct?
man. The Canadian Trinity. Vancouver, Montreal, and Toronto, brother.
Damn, not one, not two, but all three.
All three, man. Got jerseys in all three. I saw Thomas Muller's debut in Vancouver. I caught Austin FC play against Montreal in Montreal. Couldn't catch a Toronto game, but I got a Toronto jersey.
Nice, man. And then we met up over in New York. I got to see a little bit of the ongoing construction of the new New York City FC stadium that's building up in Queens. Had a fun time over there. But it's good to be back in studio, bro, because we're about to go hard for the next entire year as we cover both club football, but more importantly, international football with the 2026 FIFA World Cup right around the corner here in these States. It's the first international break window, the September international break window. Yeah. And we have to talk about both our teams, Mexico and the USA, and a very important time for both nations.
Huge. But the energy surrounding both nations, I think, couldn't be more different. So where are we going to start? Are we going to start with the glorious Mexico? Or are we going to start with the confused United States? Where are we going?
Let's go Mexico. Because for as different as both teams are right now, they are facing off against the same opponents.
Yeah.
So that should be fun. And I want to get our predictions in for these matchups. Mexico starting off by facing off against Japan, then following that up with South Korea in Nashville, Tennessee, of all places, playing against Japan in Oakland. And this Mexican team is feeling good. Coming off of the Gold Cup victory, Javier Aguirre has implemented a style, an identity into this team. And when you have players like Raul Jimenez playing super well up front, a star boy, Gilberto Mora in the midfield, igniting us with so much passion, so much creation. And in the back line, Johan Vazquez and Montes playing very, very well. Arguably the best defense in CONCACAF. You have ultimately a very cohesive team that has been able to reclaim the throne of CONCACAF. So going into this window, I was interested to see who do they continue to call up? Who are the players that are going to continue to get the chance with the Mexican national team? Because the way we left off after that Gold Cup was super exciting, man. And so first thing I'm looking at is the call-ups for this Mexican national team. And if you'll see, the first thing that stands out is the absence of a lot of youth, especially Gilberto Mora. And I had to look into as to why I forgot. But the U20 World Cup is currently happening or about to happen over in Chile. And so you got players like Elias Montiel not getting the call-up, Gilberto Mora, Ober Vargas, who just won the Leagues Cup with Seattle Sounders, won't be there. He'll be instead at the World Cup. Hugo Camberos, Yael Padilla. I mean, you got a lot of youngsters that are going to be putting together a really fun U20 World Cup team for Mexico, but they won't be able to implement themselves with the senior squad. So that's really the biggest takeaway. We're going to be missing a little bit that fiery, exciting factor of this team. And so we won't see what I believe to be the best Mexican side possible this window.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that he's not going to be here against Japan and South Korea. I think those are two great opponents for Mexico. And for Mora himself, I mean, the inclusion of him at the Gold Cup, I thought was one of the best strokes of genius that Aguirre pulled off this summer. For me, he was the best player on the pitch for Mexico in the semifinal and in the final itself. So to not see him kind of continue that momentum he built in the summer, just a little disappointing. But for the reason of going to the U20 World Cup, I mean, I think it's completely excusable.
You don't think he should have, passed on that and stayed with the senior national team in the build-up to World Cup?
I think given that there's October and November friendlies, one absence of the September friendlies is completely fine. Although I would have loved, bro, to have seen him continue the momentum.
But there's something interesting about that U20 World Cup just because this is an exciting young team that Mexico is bringing to this tournament. And they are paired up in a pretty tough group. I don't know these teams in depth, but I just know that they're big names when it comes to the youth football scene. They're in a group with Brazil, Morocco, and Spain.
Damn, okay.
So getting out of that, I think will be really impressive. And going deep in this tournament would be a massive achievement. I think that's what all these players are hoping for, what I'll be rooting for as well. So I might actually be tuning in to some of these U20 World Cup games if these are the players that Mexico is taking.
No, for sure. If they could get out of that group, make a deep run, and Mora's kind of the star of this team, then I think he'll really amp up the excitement around him, even more so than in the Gold Cup, and low-key maybe make a big move in the winter transfer window, bro.
You see who apparently has... You won't let me get the sentence out, bro?
Get it out, man.
Real Madrid?
Yeah.
Looking at my boy Mora?
Scary. That's scary because Madrid is a big club, and I don't want to see my boy Mora just kind of rot in the youth setup there.
I'd happily see him rot, bro. He can rot for 5 years there.
Now he needs to go. He needs to go somewhere else, bro. Please, so he can actually play, man.
It's exciting.
When I see Madrid and a 16-year-old, I get nervous.
It's exciting, though. I mean, these are good things. It was not that long ago that Mexico didn't have any sort of young, exciting talent coming through the ranks. So I think what this U20 World Cup team represents is just an excitement for this national team. But looking at the rest of the call-ups, it is pretty standard, pretty predictable. You still have Raul Jimenez, Santi Jimenez getting the call-up up top, Diego Lainez, Roberto Alvarado, Berterame gets the call-up as well, Alexis Vega. And then the re-inclusion, the comeback of Chucky Lozano, who right now I believe in 22 MLS matches has 15 goals and assists combined. He's back in form, baby.
Yeah. It's really exciting to see Lozano again. I think he's just going to add to the depth that Aguirre is building with this squad. I think there's been two big things that Aguirre has done during this last year that he's been the manager of Mexico. One has been give Mexico an identity. We've talked about that in droves. Mexico now has a really gritty defensive identity, not only in style, but also positionally. Every single player knows exactly what to do under Aguirre, and it really shows every time Mexico plays. The second biggest thing he's done is add depth to this team. Pretty much in every single position now, I could probably name 2 players that could rotate between that starting position. And I think that's really important now for Aguirre. Lozano's going to add to that depth because right now, if you say on that left side, I would actually say the starter should be Alexis Vega. But with Lozano in this form, well, all of a sudden, you could start Lozano and you don't really miss a beat. Vega can come on in the 60th minute and have a massive impact. So this is yet again another great decision for Mexico's management to just add to this team.
It's competition. And I like seeing players have to compete to defend and keep their spot. That way you know that the player that's playing there is always in form, always capable of doing something great. In the midfield, Edson Alvarez returns. Eric Lira, Marcel Ruiz will be back as well. That'll be fun to see. Charlie Rodriguez, Orbelin Pineda, and Eric Sanchez. Standard pretty much in that sector of the pitch without Mora, of course.
Yeah, without Mora. And again, that's why I'm just disappointed because I wanted to see the dynamicism of Mora alongside, the defensiveness of Edson Alvarez and Marcel Ruiz. But I guess we'll see Edson, Marcel, I'm hoping will continue his starting position. And then from there, the third could be, I guess, maybe Pineda.
Probably.
It could be Lira if he wants to go defensive.
In the defensive part of the pitch, you have Vasquez and Montes, who are obviously going to start. But then fun names like Mateo Chavez, who got minutes at the Gold Cup. Huescas, who's been playing in Europe now, I believe for Copenhagen.
Yeah.
That would be really cool to see. He started off the season really well. Orozco, Gallardo, Purata gets the call up, and Jorge Sanchez as well, with Luis Malagon in goal, Rangel Moreno as backups. That's the defense for Mexico going into these friendlies.
And it's more depth. Purata's been great for Tigres, I say specifically these last 12 months. So he gets the call-up. It's deserved. And so now if any of the center backs for Mexico is out or injured, I would actually be very confident that a guy like Purata, or you could use Orozco as well, to just insert themselves into that starting position and do a good job. I'm telling you, this team is deep. Maybe not as deep as obviously the big hitters in their international scene, but when you compare them to the rest of CONCACAF, even a lot of the South American teams, Mexico has genuine depth in every single position.
And now here's what this gets really fun, because it is a good team. It's a good team. Obviously, it's not the best version without our X factor and exciting players and Gilberto Mora, but it's still a very good team. And I look at Japan, I look at South Korea. They're also really good teams as well. Both of them already secure their qualification to the World Cup and AFC qualifying. And both of them have really strong quality players that play at high level in Europe. And they come to the States to test themselves against both Mexico and the USA. I mean, I got to say, this is probably the 2 toughest opponents we've had since, when we faced off against Turkey a couple months ago.
And that's why I'm really excited, bro, about this international window, because this is the perfect step up from CONCACAF, right? I think it's clear now that Mexico is better than Canada and better than the USA, at least these versions of them. And so now, playing Japan and Korea, the elite teams of the Asian Confederation, I think that's the next best step you can take. I still think South America boasts tougher competition, and Europe definitely boasts tougher competition. So if we're taking baby steps here, Asia's best is the next best step that CONCACAF can take. So when I look at Mexico, we've conquered CONCACAF at this point. We're clearly better than Canada and USA. Now, looking at the opponents of Japan and South Korea, here's the thing, bro. I actually expect Mexico to win these games. And I do think that they can. And we can analyze Japan and Korea. I really do want to. But just the surface level statement here, I expect Mexico to win both games.
I don't think Japan could do it on a sunny day in Oakland.
I don't think so.
I don't think they can do it in Oakland, man. That's a tough place to play. Apparently, the Mexican national team got robbed there today.
God damn it. Damn.
Balls were stolen. Flags, cones, and shirts got stolen. Oakland, baby. I don't think Japan can do it. I don't. So I actually am in agreement with you. I am. The fan base is obviously going to be in favor for Mexico. The momentum is very good for Mexico at this moment. And if they can continue performing with that base, with that foundation of really good defense, I think we can get a goal against the Japanese team, whose defense hasn't been as good as I had hoped it would be, having seen them in Asian World Cup qualifying. And yeah, I really think it'll come down to that factor itself, because Japan does have a good offense, but I don't know. I don't see them breaking Mexico right now in the shape and form that they're in. I have Mexico winning that matchup.
No, exactly. The problem with Japan right now, their defense is still shaky. It's been a problem since the AFC Asian Cup, and it's not something that they fix. They also were in objectively the easiest group of World Cup qualifying, in my opinion. They didn't really get tested, and when they did face a defensive team like Australia and Saudi Arabia, they struggled. Their offense really struggled to break them down. Mexico's defense is certainly on par with Australia and Saudi Arabia's defense. So I see Japan having the same offensive struggles. And then when you just look at Japan individually speaking, yes, they have absolute talent. For example, Mitoma, Minamino, Takefusa Kubo, for example. The problem is that they don't really translate a lot of their club success to the international team right now. The potential is there for Japan, and if you're a Japanese fan, that's what you're hoping, that they themselves figure it out over these next 12 months leading up to the World Cup. But right now, the Japanese offense isn't clicking the way you think it would on paper. And I think that's only going to benefit Mexico, as they're very defensive and are very clinical with Raul Jimenez up top.
This is a good test, though, for Japan. I mean, they've been facing off against pretty weak opposition in Asia at the end of the day. If they can beat Mexico here in U.S. territory, that's a step forward for their narrative and what they've been trying to achieve. I just see Mexico, with the shape they're in right now, being able to, at the very least, pull off a tie or get the victory. That South Korea matchup, I kind of envision the same way, because I really see South Korea maybe just a couple steps below Japan at this moment, with really good players, really big names. But I'm still missing the cohesive, the chemistry factor to really max themselves out the way that I would hope.
Absolutely. When looking at Korea's offense, I'd say is actually a little bit more clinical than Japan's right now, specifically because Lee Kang-in, when he puts on that Korea jersey, he's actually showing up. You still have the veteran presence of Seon Heung-min as well. Lee Jae-sung has been dishing balls out in the Bundesliga for the past decade now. He does it at this level for Korea. But again, the defensive midfield and the defensive line for Korea is very shaky. It's getting exposed against teams like Palestine and Oman on a pretty consistent basis. Mexico's offense can definitely get a couple of goals against this Korean defense, and that's ultimately why I see Mexico beating Korea.
Score predictions here for both games. I'm going Japan. Mexico wins 2-1. South Korea 1-0. Yeah, those are my two predictions for those matches. What are yours?
I'll go tight in the game against Japan, maybe 1-0, something like that. And against Korea, I don't know, maybe 2-1, 3-2, something like that.
What player is this September window most important for that plays for Mexico?
I'm actually going to say Lozano. I just think his reinsertion to the team, it's been a long time coming. Every time it seems like he was going to come back, he would get a little injury that would keep him out. But now he's actually back. And he's not just back by name. You already stated he's back because of his form with San Diego right now. So to see that translated to the national team, again, it's only going to add to the depth and the offense that this Mexico team needs and has been building up to. So to see Chucky back, I think it's amazing. To see him actually have an impact, though, that'd be crazy. And again, it's just adding to this team. If Lozano pops off right now, Mexico's just going to get better and better.
That would be awesome. Like, I really do feel like a lot of the fan base gave up on Lozano back probably like around like 2021, 2022. Because after what he did at 2018, God, he had the world in his hands, man. He had so much going for him, and it just kind of slowly was a bit of a downfall for him in terms of playing up to the level that he showcased against Germany. He never really was able to get back to that level until ultimately he stopped receiving the call-up. But coming to the MLS and being healthy, that's the biggest thing. Being healthy, I think, has been great for Chucky. And he's still not old, bro. He's still could very much be in his prime going into the next World Cup here in the States. You're right. If he can play really well and start to secure a call-up, start to secure a roster spot in this team, that's a huge piece, bro. A huge X factor that I don't think anyone really thought we would have in 2026. I would say the name, though. Alongside Chucky, I'm going to go Marcel Ruiz. Marcel Ruiz, with what he did at the Gold Cup, I would like to see him back that. Against tougher opponents in Japan and South Korea, where the midfield play will be very, very important. The narrative from Marcel Ruiz has been very exciting as of late in regards to where he wants to go play his football next, winning the Liga MX title with Toluca and now playing for the national team. I just want to see him rinse and repeat against tougher opposition and really solidify that midfield spot for himself.
It's a great point, and it's something I'll be looking for too. If I expand it just a little bit, I want to see how the Mexican midfield does against, and actually, in my opinion, better midfields that Korea and Japan both possess. Because when you looked at the Gold Cup performances, even in the final against the USA, Mexico had the better midfield. And it was always very clear. But now, against Japan and South Korea, I see it, at the very least, even if not, giving the edge to their Asian oppositions. So now I want to see how are Alvarez Ruiz really going to pair up together to try and combat whatever is thrown at them. It's going to be very interesting to watch. So let's see how they do.
Let's see how they do. Folks, submit your score predictions down below. Let me know what you think the Mexican national team will do against Japan and South Korea. Let's transition over to the U.S. men's national team and kind of apply the same type of approach here, looking at their call-ups, looking at their friendlies, and honestly the U20 World Cup, because they'll be participating at that as well.
So it looks like Matt Freese is our starting goalkeeper now. And honestly, I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah, Turner didn't get called up.
And it just makes sense. We noted this in the summer in the Gold Cup, just considering the form of Turner, considering the form of, honestly, any USA men's national team goalkeeper that has received the call-up in the past, it's just not looking good. Freese comes in. He does a really good job. When he's needed, he shows up for the USA throughout the entire summer. And he gets rewarded with another call-up here in September. So I'm excited to see him again, this time against much tougher opposition in South Korea and Japan. So now I really want to see him perform. He did great in the summer. I think he passed his audition, if you want to call it that. Now let's see how he does. And what I'm going to now consider every game going forward, I'm considering basically a final. World Cup qualifiers for the USA, bro.
The stakes are high for the USA right now because of the energy going into this team after the Gold Cup performance that we saw in Pochettino's questionable reign. The call-ups, I mean, they garner so much discussion because it's the one thing everyone looks at for Pochettino to hopefully get right. Do you think he got it right with these call-ups? What would you rate the call-ups 1 out of 10 from what you've seen? Because they've been very controversial so far.
I would say 7 out of 10. And the reason why I say it's mainly good, well, I already said the goalkeeper, right? Well, let's move up the pitch. Defense, I think, looks great. Our core, Chris Richards, Tim Ream, they're here. They're starting. We are going to live and die by that center back pairing. But if they're on the pitch, I truly think anything's possible because they were fantastic this summer. Chris Richards is really coming into his own as an elite center back in all of CONCACAF, honestly. I see his trajectory continuing in that positive trend, so that's great to have. Serginho Dest is back, and I think this is huge. Crazy. We know when Dest is on the pitch playing his best football, he is pure entertainment, man. He's all out offense. And when we saw the best of Dest in the USA jersey, it was during our best period under the USA men's national team. So I think the return of Dest is only a good thing. Maybe he's still trying to figure things out coming back off of that terrible injury. But I mean, he's already gotten off to a pretty decent start in the Eredivisie. I expect him to kind of hit the ground running for the USA. It's a great call-up. And when you look at the guys who were there beforehand, Freeman and Scally, well, they didn't really fully take that position as you would have liked them to. Yep. So I think it's good to have Dest back. And then you look at the left back position, Robinson's still coming back from an injury, so I think his exclusion makes sense to me.
Damn, yeah, you almost forget that. the USA has a really good fullback there in Robinson, man.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him play in a long time.
Yeah.
Same with Desto. I haven't seen him in a really long time don that USA jersey. Honestly, the last monumental thing I remember him with the national team was when he had that whole freak out against Trinidad and Tobago, man.
That was a long time ago.
It's time to rewrite history for Serginho Dest. I hope he has a good window. Max Arston getting the call-up too after a really good Gold Cup.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, the only thing I really want to comment in regards to the defense is kind of, Joe Scally not living up to what I hoped he would be with this national team. He had a good performance against Vinny Jr. in that friendly against Brazil.
Yeah.
But, that's kind of it.
It.
That's the defense right there in the midfield.
But good, though, right? Good from Pochettino. This is good. I'd say right now he's A+ defense completely.
I'll give you that. Let's go midfield.
This is where he gets it wrong. This is where Pochettino unfortunately gets it wrong, bro.
Let's go through the list here. Tyler Adams, Sebastian Berhalter, Luca de la Torre, Diego Luna, Jack McGlynn, and Sean Zawadzki.
Yeah.
Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki, bro. He called up Dirk.
So my issue with this, and I'm pretty sure this was probably felt amongst all USA fans, is that this is the same midfield that we saw in the Gold Cup. And this is the same midfield that got bullied against Mexico in that final. This is the same midfield that only had 40% possession in that final, where Mexico boasted 60%. And when I look at Korea and Japan, who have, I would say, at least just as good as midfield as Mexico, I'm expecting this midfield to kind of struggle. And the reason why I think Pochettino gets this wrong is because, well, if we're treating these games as finals, as if we're treating these games as World Cup qualifiers, well, I want to see the midfield that's going to start in the World Cup. And if you're telling me that our midfield is going to be MLS based, then I'm very worried, very concerned. And I'm questioning the call-ups here because it just doesn't make sense to me realistically. I get it. Some of it is a little confusing. For example, Yunus Musa, right? He just got transferred to Atalanta from Milan. Maybe that's the timing of it wasn't great for him to get called up. Okay, I guess I get that. McKinney not getting called up, I think, is just very confusing. I don't know why he wouldn't get called up. You don't have to play him 90 minutes, but call him up, put him in the camp, put him around Berhalter, put him around McGlynn, so we can see what our midfield will actually look like. But no McKinney at all. I think that's a massive red flag.
Johnny Cardoso with Atleti. Sure, they're not off to a great start, but I mean, he got a huge move.
Exactly.
Give him the chance to prove himself with the national team. He's definitely been looking for it for a while.
Exactly. So you would like to see a guy like Cardoso get the call-up, be integrated with this MLS midfield. I'm not saying Berhalter and McGlynn aren't good. If anything, when you look at De La Torre and Berhalter, they've been the best midfielders in MLS.
Yeah.
So I want them to get the call-up. But I also want the European-based players to get the call-up as well. As I said before, I want to see the World Cup midfield. And again, if it's Tyler Adams and then just all MLS around him, then we're not going to get far in the World Cup, unfortunately.
For me, it's the Jack McGlynn and Zawadzki call-ups. Those are two MLS players that you could have replaced with McKinney, Musa, Johnny, or even Tanner Tessman, who has been off to a great start with Lyon, three wins out of 3 games so far. You got to give one of those guys the responsibility in the midfield over two, I would say, ultimately questionable MLS players, because Jack McGlynn, I don't think was that great at the Gold Cup. I'm gonna be honest with you.
He was decent.
I don't know if he's going to play any role at the World Cup. So I'm interested in the midfield battle. That's super questionable calls from Pochettino there. And now we look at the final sector of the pitch, the forwards, with obviously the big headline being that the highly criticized, the summer full of drama has now come to an end for the one and only Christian Pulisic, who will be back with the U.S. men's national team after being off to a really good start with AC Milan, already bagging a goal for this Italian side.
Yep.
But then you got Damian Downs, who got the move over to Southampton this summer. You have Josh Sargent, who's cooking for Norwich City. Yeah. Tim Weah, who's at Marseille. And Alex Sendejas. And also Folarin Balogun, who just scored this weekend, added to the U.S. men's national team call-ups.
Yeah, huge returns for Pulisic, Sargent, Balogun, Weah, Sendejas.
Sounds nice.
This is where Pochettino gets it right once again. It's why, ultimately, I think he got the call-ups mostly right. He just got it very wrong in the midfield, in my opinion. But you look up top, this is the front line that I want to see. I'm expecting Pulisic on the left, Weah on the right. We're going to bring on Zendejas or start Zendejas in one of the other games. And I want to see Josh Sargent and Folarin Balogun get rotated in that striker position because I think one of them is going to start for us at the World Cup. On paper, they're so good. They're so dynamic. They just need form to be on their side, and they need injuries to be on their side. That's it. So if that consistency can start now, I think we can start improving our synchronicity and our fluidity up top. So I think the call-up's very promising for this USA squad.
How do you think they line up, though, the front three?
Yeah, I think it could be any version of Pulisic on the left, and then from there you can kind of just play around. You could start Balogun Weah, or you could go Sargent and Dejas.
Yeah. No Gio Reyna. No Gio Reyna.
Yeah, Reyna just hasn't been fully playing. He hasn't been fully back at it yet, so I'm just not surprised by that. Like, for Reyna to get called up at the World Cup, he's going to have 6 months where he's playing every week. Hopefully that happens, but I just don't know.
I like it, man. I like the forwards up top. I think these are a good selection of 5 players in good form right now. They can bag a goal against South Korea. They can bag a goal against Japan. South Korea, they're playing against them in New Jersey. And Japan, they'll be playing Lower.com Field, Columbus's Crew Stadium. Maybe that's why Zawadzki got the call up. You know, maybe get to play in front of your home crowd. What are the predictions here? How do you see this U.S. men's national team playing against Asia's finest, South Korea and Japan?
I think we'll win one of the games. Or it'll be a tight draw, and I think we'll lose the other. I don't think we'll get... I have Mexico having the more successful period here in this window. I think the USA still has work to do, and again, when I just look at that midfield, I get sweaty.
Yeah.
I get sweaty when I look at that midfield, man, and I think we're going to struggle heavily against 2 teams that love having the ball and are very good when they do have the ball. Very curious to see how we fare against it. We saw against Mexico, it wasn't pretty, 40% possession. Kind of expecting the same thing.
I have USA beating South Korea, but then losing to Japan. I don't think they're better than Japan. I think Japan can outclass them. South Korea, though, I think they can catch them by surprise. First game in the States. Pulisic bags himself a goal, carry job, starts cooking. I think something promising will be shown in that first game, but then the limitations of this USA team will be shown in the Japan match at Columbus Crew Stadium. Most important player for the U.S. men's national team this window, who is it?
I think just Pulisic, just because of the noise.
Yeah.
Let's block it out. For me, it's not important. I was on Pulisic's side at the beginning of the summer. I will be on his side until the end of time. I consider him the most talented player, American player ever, and so we need him. And he knows that. I know he knows that. He's working hard with Milan. He's working hard in Serie A. He's gotten the call up immediately back after getting the rest in the summer. He's ready. And that's my message to all USA fans right now, to all USA supporters and the USA players themselves. I have one message. It's time to lock in, brother. It's time to lock in. We got grouped in the Copa America. We got knocked out in the semifinals of the Nations League in the spring. We got bullied against Mexico in this Gold Cup final a couple months ago. We have no form, no momentum, no established identity on the pitch.
Christ.
It's time to lock in.
Yeah.
Because anything can change in a moment, but it's completely up to the mentality of the players and the staff. All voiced opinions are criticisms and frustrations, and I get it. I completely understand. But I'm going to support this USA side for the rest of eternity. I do not care. We're hosts of the World Cup in the summer, and that gets me excited, bro. That gets me insanely excited. So I know it's not looking good. It could be a lot better. But all I'm hoping is that these guys give everything. They give 110% in these next friendlies, treat them as World Cup qualifiers, and maybe we can build just something, any sort of momentum going into the World Cup. I know it's not as promising as Mexico's looking, but hey, I'm going to support this team. We have the talent on paper. Let's see if we can translate that to actual results and good football.
For me, the 2 most important players are actually, I'm going to go Tyler Adams and Serginho Dest. These are the background players, the background dancers, the background singers, if you will, for the main act that is Christian Pulisic. All eyes will be on Pulisic. The media always looking at Pulisic, but you need Tyler Adams putting 10 out of 10 performances in that midfield, especially with what he's going to be surrounded with during this window. Tyler Adams is going to have to do a carry job in that midfield. And I think that's a very important part of it. And then Dest, reclaiming his form, reclaiming his spot. I mean, like you said it, when the USA was at their best these past few years, it was with him in that fullback position. Yeah. I think he needs to get his momentum back in that sector of the pitch. I think it's a very important narrative to follow because, I mean, if Christian Pulisic doesn't perform at his best, it's still Pulisic, and I think eventually you will get a good performance out of him. There's no question that he is starting for the national team. For me, it's Dest that, you know, if you can get a good version of Dest here, that could be really promising to be able to pair up with Anthony Robinson once he gets back healthy. So let's look for that. Let's look for improvement with this USMNT national team. I want to see just promise. I want to see a better product than what we've been shown these past couple of years. Let's start building towards something truly special come 2026 FIFA World Cup time. Folks, let us know your predictions for the USMNT national team, your predictions for Mexico in the comments down below. What do you think will happen this September international break? And we'll see you guys very soon. Peace.